Hello, YouTube. Welcome to another instant analysis for the upcoming marathon event titled Strawberry Dreams. Before we get started, though, just wanted to say reason why you haven't been seeing any videos from me for the past couple weeks. I was actually on vacation participating in a bowling tournament in Las Vegas, Nevada. I did okay. Definitely could have done better. Left a lot of pins out on the lanes, as they say. But had a good time. It was less of a vacation and more of a business trip, as I was bowling 5 days in a row. So I basically spent almost half my day every single day for 5 days in a row at the bowling alley. So didn't have much rest time. But that's going to change next month. I'm actually going back to Vegas. One of my really good friends from middle school asked if I could accompany her to the BTS concert at Allegiant Stadium. So I will be going to the BTS concert at Allegiant Stadium next month. Please, if you have any tips for somebody that has never, ever listened to a flippin' BTS song ever, leave me some notes of encouragement in the comment section. Because I am not gonna know what the hell is going on when I go there. But yeah, anyway, let's get started. Reviewing these cards. Again, this is a marathon event, so there's no voltage rankings whatsoever. But before the event does start, remember who is highlighted as far as the SRs and URs. That way, when the event starts, you already are getting 90% event point bonuses right from the very get-go. Anyway, so let's start with the first SR, which is Rainbow Waltz Mia, a cool attribute SK type. 6664, 3508, and 7367 is her stat line. She is an SP gauge filler. Cool attribute SK type filler, which is whatever. Then we have a technique same year passive. Okay. Then we have an increased SP gauge gain by 8% for the next 10 notes. 30% chance to start on appeal chance start. Filler. Costume filler. Then we get the other free UR, which is Rainbow Waltz Shizuku. Smile attribute guard type card. 5436, 7541, and 4559 are her stat line. Damage reduction SR. 10% for the next 10 notes. It's not great. Stamina plus passive, which doesn't really help you a ton because there's no stamina healing. It's just flat damage reduction. Yikes. Stamina restored upon appeal chance start. Now, this is where this passive gets a little bit better, but it's only 4.5% of her stamina, even though it is a guarantee every time you hit an appeal chance. It's 4.5% of, like, maybe, 7,700, 7,800, 8,000. It's not a ton of healing that'll come from the LSA. So, again, costume filler. Then we get up to the free UR. Mari, or Lovely Berries Mari. Active attribute SP type. 11,424, 5,140, and 11,995 are her stat line. which means at max limit break, she does have a crit profile, which is nice. Comes out to about roughly 51%. Downside, though, she's not a filler. She's a bomber. Increase voltage gain by next SP skill by 32% based off of her technique. This part of it is nice because it's matching up with her best stat. Now, granted, right, her appeal and technique stats are really, really close. But this is still, marginally better because the technique is slightly higher. Then you have her passive, which is a same strategy appeal buff of 7%, which is really good for frontliners. But, as we cover the LSA, which is an SP gauge gain by 10% for the next 5 notes, guaranteed to start to happen upon every appeal chance. Affects only same strategy members. The card is not god awful, but it's not great. This is a very average, middle of the road card. Bombers don't get a ton of use at all, really, unless it's for a specific purpose. And because this Mari unfortunately has to deal with a nerfed stat line because of her being a free event card, it makes it slightly worse than, like a Party Madu, obviously Second Fest Yohane, because, again, she's also missing a 4th insight slot. Her being a free event card means she only has a max of 3 insight slots versus 4, which does take down the usability quite a bit. It's a very 5 out of 10 card. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say. It's a very meh card. Then we get to the gacha side of things. We can see Ruby up there. But the SR for the gacha is My Mind Tonight Rico. Smile Attribute Voltage type card. 80, 34, 55, 62, and 7004 is her stat line. Voltage gain by 4% for the next 5 notes for all cards. Again, I'd much rather have, for SRs, I'd much rather have appeal boosting tap actives because they just score a lot better. But for SRs, this is probably the second best tap active to have. SRs don't really do great with the voltage boost tap active, that gives you, extra voltage scoring, based on their, appeal or something per tap. So this is probably the second best tap active for a voltage type SR, but it's not great. Same strategy passive, max 5%, which, again, that passive on SR is not fantastic. Does have a 30% chance to give all cards a whopping 1% voltage gain increase. Ugh. Mostly filler. That's what I'll say about this card. Mostly filler. You can possibly use it for some slightly harder stuff on Dreamlight Parade, but not really. First gacha, you are Lovely Berry's Ruby. Another card where Ruby has some sort of fruit connection. You have her initial UR, you have her Sweets Deco. Oh my god. Anyway, Smile Attribute Guard type 9760, 13,799, and 10,098 is her stat line. Stamina's pretty good here for the stat line. However, stamina doesn't really matter a ton because she has a damage reduction tap active. I will say this about the damage reduction tap active, however. It's actually not terrible. 33% for 4 nodes. 33% is a lot. 33% damage reduction is a lot. So for those of you having trouble with, either some of the challenge songs or some of the other, like, more difficult advanced plus difficulty songs, this card is actually not terrible for you. Passive is a stamina buff of same attribute cards, which I don't really love. This is great, though. Her passive is fantastic. Restore 8.5% of her own stamina every time you clear appeal chances. So this is a different condition. It's not a guaranteed appeal, at the beginning of appeal chance, restore 8.5% stam. Granted, you are only, restoring like what? 1,000-ish stamina. If you have like a kind of mediocre bond board. But this could help somewhat. The main focus here though is going to be her damage reduction tap active. Again, 33% is a lot, especially with a lot of the newer songs having these like big chunk damage notes, whether it be 30k or for challenge songs 100k. You want to be able to block as much damage as you can, and this kind of card will help with it. Do you really, really need it? It's debatable. If you already have a very, very strong damage reduction, you don't necessarily need this, but if you're lacking one, this stat line is not terrible for a damage reduction Probably one, I would say, probably one of the better, statted damage reduction UR cards. Then, the second UR, Lovely Berries Nico, an active attribute voltage type. Hooray! Get another one. Stat line of 14,007, 8540, and 11,616. So I did do some research on this, on this particular stat line. If you were to look at every active attribute card, this is now the this is the 12th card with over 12,500 base appeal in the active attribute. It's obviously one of the, better statted cards. But, the stamina, again, I would love to see more of this stamina either pushed a little bit heavier towards technique or appeal. But, again, they give voltage cards stat lines like this because they need to balance the card out. So, as to not make it, super broken or whatever, they have to take away points from technique and appeal and kind of shove them into stamina. Luckily, it's not a full overload where, the appeal is like 13,000 and stamina is 10 and tech is 10,500 or something. So the card is still definitely usable. Tap active, increase appeal by 9% for the next 5 notes, affects same school. Not loving it. Speaking of same school, her passive is an appeal boost for same school. And then her LSA, which, increase crit power by 10% for 3 notes, 30% chance to happen upon strategy switch for same attribute cards. This live show active is terrible. This live show active is awful. Absolutely atrocious. Because there is not going to be a lot of times where you're going to want to be dual stratting with this Nico in your secondary strategy. It's just not a thing. As far as frontline scoring goes, she's fine. But, you definitely want, there are definitely cards better than this, right? Your second fest cannons, your first fest Kanons, even your first fest Setsunas, your second fest Makis. Cards like those are still, like, just scoring-wise, are going to be a lot more consistent than this Nico. Especially, like, with the same school limitations on both her tap active and her passive. it does make team building a little bit more tricky. Like, you basically, like Tim Boy says, you know, in the chat, you know, you can go with a BB front line of Second Fest Ellie, Second Fest Maki, and this Nico, which is fine. But, like, outside of that, you know, maybe you know, she'll also pair well with, like, a Party Koto and stuff, but outside of that, you don't really have many other options that can help you kind of cover all bases just because it is the same school restriction. So yeah, as far as the gacha banner goes, I would, if I was a free-to-play player, I actually wouldn't be disappointed getting either of these cards. But again, there are just so many more better options, whether it be with party cards or fest cards, that unless you're tiering, you don't 100% need to go after these. But yeah, that'll be it. Thanks so much for joining us, YouTube. Feel free to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and please send me your prayers and help for this BTS concert, because I don't know what the hell I'm gonna do. Until next time, see you later, everyone. Bye!